Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about my drill press. This is one of the first tools I bought that got me back into using tools myself. It's a inexpensive, easy way to get in. You can pick them up at any Lowe's, Home Depot, anything like that. I still actually use it a lot more than I figured I would once I got the mill. There's still a lot of times I just need to blast a hole in something, and it's a lot easier to fire up the drill than it is to set up the mill. You can see I got a pretty big drill bit in there now from a job I was doing earlier this morning. What actually made me think about this video is when I was changing the bits earlier. A Jacob's chuck has got a weird key that's really hard for somebody with limited hand use like myself to use. So one of the things I had to figure out was how to open it. And I picked up this ratcheting double 200 size chuck key from Harbor Freight. One of the best $6-7 tools I ever bought. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of Harbor Freight stuff, but there's certain things that just they have and they're handy, and this happens to be one of them. Like I say, it's ratcheting, so it's got a little adjuster on the back side that you can flip back and forth between on and off. And so in order to change a drill bit, I'm going to change to a smaller bit to show you, the drill in action. So I pop this up in the chuck, and then I'll give it just a slight loosen. I torqued it in here a little bit too tight. There we go. Got it just barely started to get loose without letting the drill bit drop. And then I use an extendable magnet, another low dollar tool that I use lots around the shop. I have these sitting all around. Extend this out, put my mouth, grab it, loosen the chuck, bring the drill bit down, and you check I got held solid. Now I'm going to drop to a much smaller drill bit. I think it's a 15-30 seconds. Just happens to be one that I had laying here on the bench. Spin the chuck down a lot smaller to start. The drill that I had in had a 1/2-inch shank, and this is a 1/2-inch chuck, so it was about maxed out. Got a little bit too tight there. Got just barely tight there. The drill bit's just barely hanging in the chuck. Grab the chuck key again. Flip the position from tighten to loosen. Pop her in. And one thing you might notice is, I don't know whether it's the chuck key or this chuck on the, this is a skill drill. Neither one are the top-notch quality. They're both kind of low-quality imports. I've learned that if I pull down on the chuck key, it tips just enough that it doesn't make good contact and it'll slip. So I always put it in a position that I'm pushing up, whether I'm tightening or loosening, which just drives the teeth of the chuck key into the chuck that much more. I keep my table loose so I can pivot it back and forth. You can see I got a pretty heavy duty drill press vise on here. Bought a cheap one from Harbor Freight. That was one of the worst purchases I've ever made. It really doesn't sit square. It doesn't hold parts well. Picked this one up, used it in an auction. It's a lot better quality. I'm going to crank the table up closer to the height of the bit. And right now I just have a piece of some aluminum angle in the vise. I also don't have the vise clamped down right now. If I'm doing a bunch of parts or I need real precise holes, I'll clamp it down with the C-clamp. Right now it's just sitting loose. So I'll just get in about in position. Table's about where I want it, so I'll reach over and there's a little lever over here on the other side that clamps the table tight. Now it won't pivot unless I really knock it. I'm actually going to tighten that up a little bit more, a little tighter. All right, now position the drill bit. Let's just say I want to blast a hole right there. I have the drill press mounted pretty far to the edge of the bench, so I can't get all the way square under it. So I'm always drilling a little bit from the side. It's not the most stable, but it makes the most use of my workbench. I'm going to fire it up. I have it set on one of the lowest speeds right now. Unfortunately, I'm not able to change the belts. Up inside of the top cover, there's 3 or 4 positions of the pulleys. And you change positions, change the speed. I have it on the next to slowest speed. It just it's a little slow for some of these smaller bits, but it allows me to run some of my larger bits. And if I had to run something real big or cutting some steel or something, I'll sometimes turn it, or have somebody move the belt to one of the slower positions. But no, I don't really use it on the big bits that often. So I'll fire it up and I'll blast a hole with this. Reach up, grab the lever, just lightly pull down, let up, pull down, let up. And if I'm drilling something that needs it, I'll drip a little oil on there, but this is just some thin aluminum. Now that's a problem. That's a bad thing. That was I did not have the bit tight enough. So you can see I immediately reached up, killed the drill. Now it's kind of stuck. A lot of times when these bits hang, this is a problem that I have from time to time because I don't get the bits, the chuck tight enough. It's right as the drill bit goes through the bottom side of the material that it'll do that. And I admit that's a problem just from not having enough strength to really torque down the chuck. So I pop the key back in. Ooh. That's another flaw with this drill press. When the chuck key pops out, my hand immediately goes up and hits the on-off switch. Quite dangerous, but I want to work, and I want to be able to work with my hands, and sometimes you got to take a little risk there. Get this guy in there. And you see it was pretty tight. I barely got a tooth or two of the ratchet to turn. But that's all it takes sometimes. Line this back up on the hole, fire it back up. And it drills right through. You can see I was almost through the material. So go ahead and pop the vise loose. Slide out a piece of material. And we got a hole. Now, sometimes I don't want to use the drill press. I need to work on a smaller part. I can't get in the drill press. So it's just more convenient. So I'll hand drill stuff. So I got the little, again, cheap little vise here. Throw the material in the vise. I'm going to drop it down a little bit more so I'm closer to the end where I'm going to cut. Tighten that bad boy down. And now on this I'm going to use my hand drill. And keyless chucks are completely worthless, so I don't have many hand tools, many hand electric tools, or pneumatic tools don't matter, because most of them have the newer keyless chucks, and those are impossible for me to use. Picked up this little guy a few years ago, actually in a set with a flashlight and a little sawzall. I'll showcase the sawzall in another video. Little Black & Decker jobs. They're meant to be screw guns, but they work as drills, and it's got a quick release end on it here that holds a standard 1/4 inch hex. screwdriver bit, but you can also pick up other bits that fit in that same hole. Harbor Freight sells a set. Again, I'm gonna talk about Harbor Freight tools here. Harbor Freight sells a set of these little guys. They're get a little closer to the camera. It's a drill bit with a hex end that fits in these quick change chucks. And so I have a set. I think they're kind of like 10 in a set, dozen in a set, something like that. They're cheap. I burn them up a lot. I bend them a lot. But they're cheap enough that I can use them. And again, I'm not doing anything super precise with this drill. It's more just for blasting a hole in something that needs to be close enough. If I need precise, I'll use the mill. So grab this, slide this in, got to line it up there, drops in. Then I use my mouth, slide the collar rack, push the drill bit in, check it, it's tight. As I said, there's actually a screw gun, so it's got 2 speeds, 1 and 2. 1 is super slow for drilling a hole, and I need 2. So I just take it, and now kind of hold with both my hands since I don't have any grip, and position it against what I want to drill. Let's just say I want to drill a hole right here, and then I'll put my cheek into it to get a little extra stability. You can see this drill bit's not the sharpest one in the world. Occasionally I got to stop, catch my breath, because I have trouble breathing when I'm leaning down that far and pushing. So I got to get a little break. Doesn't hurt to let the end of the drill bit cool off a little bit. I'm almost through. I can see the depth of the holes almost through. So go ahead and finish this off. And ta-da, we got a hole. Now, if I want to drill some in sheet metal, and this is about 3/16 aluminum here, maybe even 1/4 inch aluminum. It's getting a little bit thick for this next tool, but it'll still do the job. Pop that drill bit out. Got a hook on my apron. I always wear an apron to protect myself from metal chips, hot chips. Try to avoid getting chips in my pants. I still get a lot in there. It still happens. My other tool I like, and I use these on the drill press as well as the hand drill, is a step drill. These little guys are really handy, especially on sheet metal. Another one I bought from Harbor Freight. They come in a set of 3 or 4. They've got the quick change 1/4 inch hex on the end. From holding a lot of this other magnets, and all the steel shavings stuck to them. So I was ended up with a couple of lips covered in steel. Nothing hurt me. Everybody needs iron. Again, pop it in, grab the collar with my teeth, drop it in. I can feel it drop back into position. Again, this being a screw gun, it's got forward and reverse. I just noticed I almost bumped the button and put it into reverse, but it's still in forward. I'm going to go ahead and drill a quick hole with this. I'm going to use one of the existing holes that I got in here just to get it started. It helps if you have a pilot hole, but it's not necessary, so I'll lean into this one I just did. And 1 step in. That's 3/16 hole. Next step is a 1/4 inch. I'll go and do a 1/4 inch hole. Kind of like the drill press, it just grabbed as it went to go through the back side. Get a little twist to pop it loose. And I'll go a little lighter on the pressure. And we're through. 1/4 inch hole, that quick. This same step bit will do 5/16, 3/8, 7/16, all the way up to 1/2 inch. And then I got a couple other sizes that have more steps in them, and go even bigger. So you know, this is you know, a little quad drill in action. Like I say, if I want something precise, I'll use the mill. If I just want to, you know, semi-precise, I'll use the drill press. If I just need a hole in something, I got the hand drills. So until next time, keep watching crippleconcepts.com if you're interested in some of our products. And I hope you subscribe and stay tuned to our channel. Thanks a lot.